Have you ever noticed that you always want what you don't have? For me, when I was growing up, I found myself wishing I was taller. I mean, look, I'm standing on a box. Or that I had thick hair or tan skin, or that I could magically remove all my freckles. Well, my junior year of high school, I got this grand idea. The movie Freaky Friday had just come out, and Lindsay Lohan's hair looked so good. It was this pretty auburn red color with these chunky blonde highlights, and I just had to have it. I mean, I would look good with this hair, right? Well, I was on a budget, so I thought, I'll just do it myself. So I went to Walmart and picked up a box of L'Oreal Paris Feria Power Red hair dye, and I got to work. And let's just say it did not turn out like Lindsay Lohan's hair. In fact, it turned out more like this. You guys, my hair was fire engine red, and it was hideous, and I had to go to school like that. Well, I survived the first half of the day, but after lunch, I had to go to my competition dance class. Now keep in mind, in the competition world, you have to ask your coach for permission to make any permanent changes to your look, which I had failed to do. So I walked into the room and my teacher took one look at me and freaked out in front of everyone. So in that moment, what do you think happened next? A, I ran out of the room and ran straight to my car and drove home, where I watched Freaky Friday, ate a gallon of ice cream, and then cried myself to sleep. B, I went straight to the principal's office where I filed a formal complaint on my teacher who just publicly humiliated me. Or C, I ran to the bathroom, collapsed to the floor, and cried my eyes out. Take a few moments with your neighbor and discuss what you think I did. So what did I do? C, I ran to the bathroom, collapsed to the floor, and I cried my eyes out. I was absolutely horrified. Not only was my hair a hideous red, which, by the way, I never took a photo of because I did not want it documented, but I was so embarrassed I had to walk around in public with this botched hair job. But to my surprise, my two best friends came into the bathroom right behind me, and they comforted me. They risked being associated with me, and they ditched class to come be with me in my time of need. They dropped everything. Have you ever been there? You were in a crisis mode and a friend stepped in to help you? Well, some of the most important relationships we'll ever have, aside from our relationship with Jesus, is our friends. These are the people we do life with, the good and the bad. They shape us into who we're becoming and pick us up when we're down. But today, I don't want you to focus on other people. I want you to focus on what kind of friend you are to the other people around you. And more specifically, I want to focus on the quality that my friends demonstrated. A friend who will drop everything. But in order to talk through that, I think it's important that we start with a little self-assessment because truthfully, I think we all see ourselves as the main character or the hero in our story. We're like the Katniss Everdeen who will volunteer as tribute.
And now, for the boys.
We're the Iron Man who will sacrifice our life to save all of humanity. We're the Mufasa to our future children.
Remember who you are.
Father!
Remember.
Don't leave me.
Remember.
What was that?
Okay, I went a little far on that one into the future, but you get it. But we view ourselves this way because, yeah, duh, do the right thing when the stakes are high. I mean, just last week, I said yes to Chipotle with my friends, even though I hate Chipotle. It's so overrated. But what kind of friend are we when it's not so easy? You know, the times where you have to sacrifice your time? Or you have to make a decision to stand up for a friend and it impacts your reputation? Or maybe you have to sacrifice your allowance money to help a friend in need. Well, the Bible has a lot to say about friendship, and today we're gonna look at a couple of dudes who give us an incredible picture of what it looks like to be a good friend. Their names were Jonathan and David. Now, Jonathan is the king's son, so he's incredibly wealthy and has the whole world at his fingertips. He's a prince, and he's next in line for the throne. Now, David, on the other hand, he's a nobody. He was a shepherd boy, the youngest of 8 boys, and he was legitimately the forgotten sibling. Can anyone relate to that? But through a series of crazy events involving David slaying a giant named Goliath, Jonathan and David become the best of friends. And to demonstrate their friendship pact, in 1 Samuel 18, we see that Jonathan made a covenant or promise with David because he loved him as himself. He ends up giving David his robe, sword, and tunic, which are symbols of his commitment to being his friend. Now, for my ladies out there, that's just like when you get one of those cute friendship necklaces for your friend on their birthday to symbolize you're gonna be best friends forever. Now, the first thing we learn from David and Jonathan about being a friend who drops everything is make a commitment to your friends. Friendships have highs and lows, and they take work, so commit to putting in the work. But as time goes on, David finds himself in trouble. Jonathan's dad, King Saul, becomes really jealous of David. You see, David continued to become an incredible leader and warrior, and the people love him. God even appoints David to be the next king. So Saul is seeing all of David's success and is feeling deep, dark jealousy with him. The people begin to drift away from Saul and no longer respect his leadership. King Saul can't deny that the Lord was with David. Now, let me just pause for a second here, because this is huge. Jonathan's technically in line to be the next king, but he sees that God has declared David will be the next king. But instead of competing with David, Jonathan sees how God has created David for this moment in time, to lead his people well. And so instead of fighting God's will, Jonathan trusts God's plan. And this leads to the second thing we can learn about being a friend who drops everything. Cheer your friends on, even when it's difficult. It's incredibly hard to drop our jealousy when our friend makes the basketball team and we didn't. It's hard to drop our pride when our friend gets a better grade than us all the time in school. It's hard to drop comparison when our friend has a gravitational personality and everyone likes them. But in these moments, we need to cheer our friends on even when it's hard, because that's how God has created them. But back to Jonathan and David. Now, King Saul ends up getting so jealous of David that he tells his servants and Jonathan he's gonna kill David. I mean, that's gotta be so awkward for Jonathan. So Jonathan goes to David to warn him, and we get to be a fly on the wall for their conversation. In 1 Samuel chapter 20, David says, "What have I done? What is my crime? He's trying to kill me." And then Jonathan replies, "You are not gonna die." Then Jonathan said to David, "Whatever you want me to do, I'll do for you." The story goes on, and we learn that Jonathan ends up saving David's life by courageously protecting him from his father. Jonathan was willing to drop everything, even put his own life and reputation on the line for his friend. So how can we practically live that out? Well, Philippians 2:3 tells us this: "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourself." What this means is we've got to stop functioning as if we're the center of the universe. We need to be looking for ways to serve our friends. Maybe for you, that means to shut your mouth and stop talking for a second and let your friend do the talking. Really listen to them. Maybe when you go out for ice cream, you offer to pay for their dessert, just out of the kindness of your heart, expecting nothing in return. Maybe instead of always waiting for your friends to initiate a text or a hangout, you make the first move. Or how cool would it be if for their basketball game, you show up with a poster board and cheer them on? Or maybe send them an encouraging text when they're anxious about a big test. Or how about when they get bad news, you pause and you offer to pray for them? You know, when I think of the ultimate picture of dropping everything for a friend, I can't help but think of Jesus. He literally went to the greatest lengths and laid down his life for you and for me. And that's the God we serve, the ultimate picture of what it looks like to drop everything for his friends. Well, I have a 5-year-old daughter, and her name is Kinsley. And Kinsley's one of the sweetest people I know, and she teaches me about how to live sacrificially every day. She's fascinating to me. But she's always looking out for others. When she has a class party at school, she will save her cookie to split it with her brother on the car ride home. When she gets dragged to her older brother's friends' birthday parties, she makes that kid a handwritten card. When she gets home from school, I'll ask her where her jewelry and bows went that she wore to school that day, and she'll say, "Oh, I gave it to my friend because she said she liked it." And the other day, she was near tears because I told her she had to split a blue raspberry prime with her brother, and when it came time to split it, she said she'd take one sip and he could have the rest. Now, when I see the way she drops everything for her friends, I'm overwhelmed with pride and joy. But I believe that is exactly how Jesus feels when he sees you drop everything for your friends. So let's go out there, let's be Christ-centered difference makers, and drop everything for our friends.